SelvsleaderCarson asks, on a scale of awesomeness, how would you rate yourself, your fellow LPers, your favorite protagonist, and your favorite villains? Yeah, I know this is a long question. Carson, this is a very long question. You know what, and because it's a very long question, I'm gonna have to put on my thinking cap for this. Mostly because I don't really get the opportunity to wear this as much, so... Alright, let's take this question one at a time. How would you rate yourself? I hate questions like this. How do I rate myself? On a scale of 1 to 10, let's say 7.5. Why 7.5? Because I think no matter what, there's always room for improvement, no matter what, is I guess, how I see things. And, you know, every time, I guess, I become more awesome, I continually raise the bar. So, by continually raising the bar, I'm continually always at a comfortable 7.5. And yeah, that's just how I'm going to answer that question. How would you rate your fellow LPers? I'd feel a lot more comfortable if I answered this question one-on-one with the actual LPers, if they would like to know, because I would be blatantly honest about how I would rate some of my fellow LPers, but I feel like that kind of stuff should be for their ears only and not something that I would publicly post on a YouTube video. How would I rate your favorite protagonists and your favorite villains? This is a pretty broad question. My favorite protagonists and villains from what? From TV? From books? From movies? From video games? I mean, I guess if I just, you know, answer that question for all of those categories, starting with TV, my favorite protagonist. There's so many to choose from, and I was trying to decide for the longest time who this would be, but I actually think it would be Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I absolutely adore that show. I actually didn't get into Buffy until a year after the series was over, after season 7. And the only reason I got into Buffy is because one of my managers, my manager of all people, whom I wouldn't think was the kind of person who liked Buffy, highly recommended it and said it was an awesome show. And again, like, because of who this was coming from, if you knew my manager, because of the kind of person he is, I was shocked, because I had seen the movie and he assured me that the series was nothing like the movie. That was part of the reason why I never saw the series, because I thought it was, you know, going to be a lot like the movie, and I didn't particularly care for the movie, besides the fact that Luke Perry was in it. But no, as soon as I watched the series, I got hooked. I mean, I just watched episode after episode after episode because my manager gave me all of his DVDs, and I just fell in love with the character. And I guess if I were to ever have a legitimate crush on a female, it would be Buffy. Not Sarah Michelle Gellar, but Buffy, the character. You know, I just love what she represents. I mean, she represents female empowerment, and to me that's very attractive. And the fact that even with all that she goes through, she can still crack a joke every now and then, and just, you know, I just love it. Like, she's just a fantastic character. The fan-made video of Buffy versus Edward is already enough to make me love her character. If you've never seen it, I'm putting the link at the bottom because it's one of my favorite YouTube videos I've ever seen. My favorite protagonist in books? I'll have to say, again, this is tough because there's a lot of characters I love in books, but I'm gonna have to say Peeta Mellark from The Hunger Games. I'm a big Hunger Games fan, and as I was reading through the books, I just fell madly in love with Peeta. I just did. Such a great character, such a great person, inside and out. And you know, the fact that he's portrayed by Josh Hutcherson doesn't really hurt either, because I think Josh is adorable, absolutely adorable in that role. Favorite protagonist in a movie? Andy Dufresne from Shawshank Redemption. Never mind the fact that that movie in and of itself is amazing. I mean, a lot of the reason why it was amazing is because of, well, not only just Adam Dufresne, but also Morgan Freeman, obviously. But Andy Dufresne, such an amazing character. So intelligent, so patient, and like his demeanor. He was just a fascinating character to me, and you really felt very sympathetic for him throughout the entire movie, and then he ended up with everything that he went through, and then everything that happened in the end, like, oh, such a fantastic movie and such a fantastic character. And then my favorite protagonist from a video game. I mean, I can easily give some of the normal answers that you think I probably would say, like Mario or Pikachu even, but I think I'm going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to answer with somebody that again might be a little obscure for some of you, Norman Jayden, or I like to call him Namen Jayden from Heavy Rain. Norman Jayden's one of the 4 main protagonists in that game. He's the one with the really awesome, like, sunglasses with the really cool HUD display, with the really cool HUD. But beyond his, really fun toys, Norman Jayden I immediately liked, because first of all, he has this Boston accent, which isn't really a Boston accent, but because of that, I find his accent very endearing. But he's got he's a character that is trying really hard to get to the bottom of the case, and he's trying to do good. And he's flawed. He's very flawed. I mean, the man's fighting a drug addiction, among other things. And I don't know. He just seems like a really, really cool guy, really cool character. And again, the fact that he's not that bad to look at is a plus. In fact, the voice actor for Norman Jayden is actually the model for Norman Jayden, Leon Akendon, and he actually is easy on the eyes as well. So, more brownie points for that. Favorite villain in a TV series? Stewie from Family Guy. Think about it. Stewie is a villain. He's this baby. He's this unassuming, football-headed baby who's British that's trying to take over the world. Like, I don't know. There's a great charm to Stewie that, you just can't help but love him. Love him, the villain that he is. That, and he's, for whatever reason, constantly trying to get into Brian's pants, and that's a little creepy, but it's okay. We love him anyway. Favorite villain in a book? Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter series. That woman, I hate her so much, and I love hating her so much. She is a villain that you love to hate, and she's so unique from the typical villains, because she's dressed all in pink, and she's in that creepy room with all the cats, and it's like, ugh. She speaks in such a sweet way, but the things that are actually coming out of her mouth, the actual context, the words that she's saying is just so, ugh. Can't stand the woman, but I love the fact that I can't stand the woman. Favorite villain in the movie is the T-1000 from Terminator 2. That villain was awesome. Like, yeah, you are obviously rooting for, for the T-800 and John Connor, but the T-1000 is fantastic. When I first saw that movie, I couldn't stand how much I loved that villain, and he gave me nightmares. Which is funny, because normally I don't like scary things, but for whatever reason, this character that I would stay up late at night being scared of, I also loved, because of how unique and awesome he was, especially for that time period. And then, favorite villain in a video game. I'm gonna have to say Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. Kefka's, again, his design as a villain is so unique from any other Final Fantasy character. I mean, I think Sephiroth's a little overrated. Kefka is just so random and neurotic, and that laugh! Oh my gosh, that laugh! That Joker-style laugh! I don't know, if I had to choose between who is scarier, Sephiroth or Kefka, it's definitely Kefka. Definitely Kefka, just because of that. I mean, Sephiroth's insane, but Kefka's just... Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. He destroys the world. He succeeds at destroying the world. And... yeah, Kefka all the way. If I had to pick a runner-up for a favorite video game villain, it would be Waluigi. So yeah, definitely Waluigi. He's so underrated. You know, everyone thinks it's all about Wario. I heart Waluigi. Would you rather be in a world of Resident Evil or The Walking Dead, the video game The Walking Dead, with all the same characters in them? This actually is pretty easy for me to choose. If I had to choose between the two universes, I definitely would choose Resident Evil, by far. Why? Because in Resident Evil, you actually get some major victories. You actually get hope in that game because you have heroes like Chris Redfield and Leon and Jill Valentine and Claire Redfield around to, you know, take down the zombies and find a cure to the many viruses around. And they succeed. Whereas in The Walking Dead, like, it's pretty depressing. Like, there are so few, I think there are far more failures than there are successes. A lot of people die in The Walking Dead. I mean, yeah, a lot of people die in Resident Evil, but when you have your main protagonist, Rick's not, his goal is not to find the cure. His goal is not to destroy all the zombies on the planet. His goal is to survive. His goal is merely to watch over his group and try to keep them alive for as long as possible. And I say that because Rick knows they're all going to die. They know they're going to be killed, most likely by walkers and not by natural causes. At some point, they're all going to die. Even Rick believes that he's going to die, you know, not of natural causes. So all he's trying to do is just delaying the inevitable, which is pretty depressing. But it makes great TV and video game plots and comic book plots, which is why a lot of us love it. So even though, you know, and even though we love the series, that doesn't mean that I necessarily would like to be in it myself in real life. If you had to treasure only 5 games in your entire collection, what would they be? So I was thinking about this very strategically, and hopefully my explanations will show you why I was being very strategic by this. The first game I would put on that list is Dragon Age Origins, because that would essentially give me my BioWare fix, because, you know, I need to have a BioWare game in that collection somewhere. And Dragon Age Origins, I think, is by far my favorite of all the BioWare games that I've ever played. Just because the relationship with the characters are so rich, and that's what I love in video games the most, is video games that allow you to have those really meaningful and develop meaningful relationships with your characters, and I think Dragon Age Origins does a fantastic job of that, even more so than, dare I say, Mass Effect. The next game I would put in there is whatever the latest Super Smash Bros. Is, because that fulfills a number of things. That A, fulfills a game that's multiplayer. You know, I can have a multiplayer game in my collection. And it also gives me my Nintendo fix, because right in that game, you got Mario, you've got Link, you've got Donkey Kong, you've got Pokemon, you've got, you know, you've got so many Nintendo stars in that one game. Instead of, you know, filling my list with a Super Mario game or a Link game, you know, I have Super Smash Brothers, and I have them all, you know, in one game that I can pull out and, you know, and play. So that's why I put that in the list. The next game I would put in is Kingdom Hearts 2, because that would give me my Disney fix and my Final Fantasy fix, both of which I love. I love Disney and I love Final Fantasy. So Kingdom Hearts 2, I get both. The next game I would put in is The Sims, because that gives me my sandbox fix. I don't particularly enjoy sandbox games as much, but I love The Sims, because with The Sims, I can pretty much fill in a lot of the gaps that the other games that I have don't fulfill. Like if I wanted to play a game that involved, you know, characters from an RPG, or, you know, I can create them in The Sims. If I wanted to play a game that involved characters from, you know, a movie or from a book or any other setting, Walking Dead, whatever, I can make them in The Sims, you know, and sort of kind of play their characters, you know, and I think there's a lot of flexibility that I can get out of The Sims. And then the last game that I would put in is probably a little obscure for some of you, is an MMORPG called City of Heroes. It was the very first MMORPG that I have ever played, which is why it's very close to my heart. It's the very first superhero MMORPG, and I loved it, warts and all. I would take breaks from it, but I would always come right back afterwards and just pull out my character and would just have so much fun. Even though it was by far not a perfect game, you know, it was my very first, and I love it and I adore it. Unfortunately, City of Heroes shut down this past December, so I had to say goodbye to a lot of my characters, and but I still treasure them. I still treasure my experiences with that game. I love that game, and again, that fulfills my MMORPG fix, assuming it's available for me to play. That would put in my collection. So, Justin Hutchins asks a bunch of questions, 5 questions. So question number 1 for Justin Hutchins: what is your favorite RPG or RPG series and why? I love a lot of RPGs, a lot. But if I wanted to go with my favorite RPG series, because I've already talked about Dragon Age Origins, and I can't say that I like Dragon Age as a series because I thought Dragon Age 2 was an okay game. I had fun with it. I didn't dislike it as most people did, but I wouldn't be able to call Dragon Age my favorite series because Dragon Age 2 wasn't nearly as up to par as it could have been. Mass Effect is way up there, but I don't know. I can't quite put Mass Effect as my favorite series of all time either. My favorite RPG probably of all time is a classic RPG, Chrono Trigger, which is where Luca came from. I just love Chrono Trigger because it had such a unique battle system. I love the double techniques and the triple techniques. Like, that was an ingenious, allowing 2 characters to combine their abilities together to make a new attack is something that I personally don't think I've ever seen in any other RPG since then, and I don't know why I haven't seen any other RPGs do that. It had a fantastic storyline. It had a fantastic soundtrack. You know, it had some pretty awesome plot twists strewn about that I absolutely adored. And the characters, I love the characters in the party. Normally when I play a lot of RPGs, there's always 1 or 2 characters, maybe more, that I don't particularly care for as much. Maybe I don't necessarily despise them, but, you know, they might be blah at best. But Chrono Trigger, I loved all the characters in the party. They were really cool, and they all had their own individual personalities, and they were so well developed. And you know, it's time travel. I've always loved time travel. It's a mix between sci-fi and fantasy, which is the perfect mix for me. I love that kind of stuff. So that's what I would say. What game would you want to be turned into a movie or movie series, and why? If you knew the movie adaptation was going to be really successful and well done, and at least somewhat true to the game series. This is a tough one because there's a lot of games that I think would lend itself well to a movie. I would say things like Heavy Rain or Mass Effect or Dragon Age, but those games are already so cinematic that I think I would prefer choosing a game that wasn't as cinematic to be turned into a movie. So I think I'm going to have to go with To be honest, I would go with Earthbound. Earthbound is such a quirky game, and there is a huge variety of characters in that game. I just think it would just be a really fun cult classic movie. And I specifically would want a live action version, a live action movie for Earthbound, because I think that would be funnier, you know, if it was actual actors doing everything. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it'd be really fun to try to come up with celebrities that would, you know, which celebrities would star as each of the characters in Earthbound. The next question is, what is your favorite Pokemon? My friends do know that I have a huge Pikachu collection on top of my dresser. I unfortunately can't really move my webcam to show you. I'll probably show you at some point. But if I had to choose a favorite Pokemon, you know, I could say Pikachu, I could say Ditto, because, well, you can claim that with Ditto you have any Pokemon whatsoever, which is essentially cheating. And actually you don't, because the only way that Ditto can transform into another Pokemon is if it sees another Pokemon. At least that's how it always works. Like, he only transforms when there's another same Pokemon right there. So he can duplicate a Pokemon, but I don't think you can just transform into, systematically, I don't think you can just transform into any Pokemon you want at any time. So I guess my favorite Pokemon of all is Jirachi, which is the Wish Pokemon. I really like Jiraiya's design. First of all, he is a Steel Psychic Pokemon, and I love Steel and Psychic types. I like his physical design because his head looks like the top of a star. More specifically, I think I would want a shiny, not just any Jirachi, a shiny Jirachi, because I should believe a shiny Jirachi is colored orange, and orange is my favorite color. But Jirachi also has a pretty interesting background as well. Jirachi has the ability to grant wishes once every 1,000 years. In the Pokemon Adventures manga, Jirachi's wishes are granted by writing on the 3 tags located on its head, and due to only having 3 tags, Jirachi can only grant 3 wishes. So if I had a Jirachi of my own, I would probably save those wishes for emergencies only. I would like to think that I wouldn't abuse them. Next question. You seem, based on what I've seen, to like series made in Japan, like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, Earthbound. Do you also happen to like anime and manga? If so, what is your favorite manga or anime series? In general, I do love the Japanese culture. I love their style when it comes to, you know, animation, anime essentially. I'm really excited too because I get to go visit Japan for a week this summer. I'm particularly excited for that. But I can't say that I am a huge fan of manga or anime in general. I mean, there are certain shows that I enjoy, but that happen to be anime. I definitely don't read manga at all, not because I don't want to, but I guess it's because I just never had the time to, compared to other hobbies. And when it comes to anime, I enjoy watching cartoons that happen to be anime, but I'm not very well versed on anime. People who I know are big in anime can, you know, start splurting out names, and I'm just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. The very first anime I ever saw and became a fan of, and this probably wouldn't come to a big surprise to many of you, is Sailor Moon. I saw Sailor Moon actually when I was at the Philippines, because it was huge, you know, over in Asia for a while before I ever came here to the United States. And my cousins, all boys, absolutely loved the show and got me hooked while I was staying at the Philippines. Got me hooked on Sailor Moon. I think even boys proudly enjoyed Sailor Moon, just like many males here proudly love the My Little Pony series. So I got really excited when Sailor Moon ended up coming over here in the United States and watched the anime series. And then Pokemon, when that came out in the United States, I again was ecstatic, and I loved the Sailor Moon and Pokemon series. Those were pretty much the only anime that I really watched. Dragon Ball Z, I was not really that much of a fan, honestly. I tried watching it and got really sick and tired of it. I've seen Ninja Scroll, which I thought was pretty good. I have not seen Ghost in the Shell or Princess Mononoke. My brother started showing me Death Note, which I thought was a pretty interesting concept. The short answer is, I like shows that happen to be anime, but I don't really go out of my way to watch anime, to be perfectly honest, because I just don't have the time. That's really my best answer. It's not that I don't want to, I just don't have the time. If you were a character from an RPG or series you have played that you didn't create yourself, who would you be? Okay, this is a hard one for me to answer. I thought about this one for a long time, because there's so many characters to consider, but I think the one character in a video game that I didn't create myself, that wasn't a custom character, that I think I was most like is Kaidan Lelenko from Mass Effect. Like, besides the fact that, you know, we're essentially within the brown people realm, Kaidan's personality overall, I think, matches mine the best out of every single video game character that I could think of. And the fact that he's a Sentinel fits also perfectly, because if I thought of myself in the Mass Effect universe, what would my class be? It would be Sentinel, because it's a combination of engineering and biotics, psychic, because I always loved psychic abilities. That's always been in superhero, I guess, comic books, psychic powers has always been my favorite type of power. And my engineering side, science and math engineering side, I thought that the marriage of the two worked perfectly. So yeah, I can definitely see myself as a Sentinel. Taking that question a step further, who would I romance as Kaidan? Surprisingly, not Shepard. If I was Kaidan, I wouldn't romance Shepard. Who would I romance? Joker, Jeff Moreau. Oh yes. Before any of you Edie fans clock me, that's fine. I love Edie too. You know, it's in a parallel universe, which is actually the canon universe. In the canon universe, you know, Joker and Edie can do their own little thing. That's great. But in my fantasy universe, if I was Kaidan Lelenko, you can bet I would be wanting some Joker. I would be wanting some Jeff Moreau, because I was so disappointed to not be able to romance Joker in the Mass Effect series. So if I am able to do it in my own fantasy as Kaidan Lelenko, that would be a dream come true. I heart you, Seth Green. Seth. Okay. Next questions. The next set of questions comes from Kathleen MMS. What type of music do you like? Well, I am, to be perfectly honest, I'm a sucker for pop. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I really like pop music. It's pretty much, when I go to work, I mean, my main station is the mix station. I'm not a big rap or R&B fan, to be perfectly honest. Country's alright. I mean, I like some. Taylor Swift, I like Taylor Swift. She's fine. I absolutely love a cappella groups, especially all-male a cappella groups. I mean, I don't mean to be sexist, it's just, you know, I enjoy female a cappella groups, I enjoy co-ed a cappella groups, but there's just something about the sound of an all-male chorus and all-male a cappella groups that just gives me chills, just gives me other chills, in a good way. Straight No Chaser is one of my favorite a cappella groups of all. As well as the Yellow Jackets, which is an a cappella group found at the University of Rochester. The Yellow Jackets actually made a really awesome music video that is a male version of Taylor Swift's You Belong With Me, which I'm also going to put down in the links below in case you wanted to check it, because I thought it was adorable. So cute and adorable. Another one of my favorite groups who I've seen numerous times in concert are the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. The Trans-Siberian Orchestra is a lot like Mannheim Steamroller. They do Christmas music. Well, they've gone to do more than just Christmas music, but their most famous concert is their Christmas concert, and they do Christmas music but with electric guitars and electric violins and violas, and a full choir. So and their show is just amazing. If you ever get a chance to watch them, I would definitely recommend them. Kathleen's next question is, what are your favorite TV shows? I'm actually going to make a separate video about this, just because I think this Q&A session is going pretty long as it is, and there's a lot of things that I'd like to say about my favorite TV shows. So I'll make a bonus video at some point that specifically answers that question for you, Kathleen. The next questions are from Deadpool Fan. He asks me two. The first one being, with the reappearance and long-awaited return of Sherry Birkin, who from the original Resident Evil series would you like to have a comeback, or at least a part in the future of the series? Well, immediately I thought Claire Redfield, because we haven't seen Claire in a while. I think we didn't really see her since Codename Veronica, if you don't count, you know, all the Chronicles games. But if we're going beyond, you know, the main characters from the original RE series, I would say Barry Burton. Barry we only saw in Resident Evil 1, and then after that we don't really know that much about what happened to him. I mean, I know there was a Game Boy game that was made from the original Game Boy that starred Barry Burton, but I heard that that really isn't considered canon, what happened in that game. Because there's like something in the ending which I don't think people agree is actually what actually happened in the canon, but who knows. It would be really cool to see him back. What gave you the confidence to actually start your LPs? That's a good question. I think LPs, when I decided to start, I had been watching them only for about 6 months, and it seemed like a really fun thing to try. When I first started doing my Mass Effect one, I wasn't sure if I was going to continue necessarily doing more after Mass Effect, after my Mass Effect 3 LP. I was just going to do it and just finish it, and then if people seemed to like it, then I would, you know, consider continuing on. And I guess the other thing that gave me the confidence is I wanted to only start doing LPs if I felt that there was a unique concept that I could bring to the table, that I could bring to the LP community that may not necessarily be as fulfilled. And I think that as a gay gamer, as a gay LPer, because I don't just do gay Let's Plays. I mean, I started out doing gay Let's Plays, but you know, I definitely do regular straight Let's Plays as well. But yeah, I guess, you know, part of me just really wanted to try to represent some of the more diverse types of players out there, some of the more diverse gamers out there. Not that I really think as a gamer I'm really all that different from anybody else, but I know, I just felt that by doing LPs as a gay gamer, it would hopefully expose people to things that they might not normally be exposed to. So yeah, I guess that's one of the concepts that gave me the confidence to start doing them and continuing to do them. C. Taylor asks, do you have a special guy in your life? Yes I do actually. We've been together for almost 2 years. He's a fantastic person. I love him dearly. He is a 7th grade middle school English teacher, but he loves it. He absolutely loves it. He loves kids. I love kids. which I think is a great thing for us to share. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, I do. Mystic Ness asks the last question. After VA Let's Play Earthbound, do you plan to make any more VA Let's Plays? You're not the only person who has asked me this. I would like to. I definitely would like to, and I've already have some ideas about what I would like to do for the next 2 VA Let's Plays. I don't want to say anything right this moment because I kind of want to keep it under wraps and leave it to a surprise. But I've gotten a lot of pretty awesome feedback on my Earthbound Let's Plays, and because of that, even though it's a lot of work and some of it can be extremely tedious, I'm greatly considering doing another season after 2013, another season of VA Let's Play. And when I do, I will definitely post the audition information up so you guys out there can audition. So yeah. But yeah, those are all the questions. I apologize again that this session essentially became almost an hour and a half. So sorry about that. But but like I said, I just wanted to answer all of your questions as thoroughly as possible, just to give your questions justice, just so you know that I, gave a lot of thought to answering them. But yeah, thank you again so much for all of your support, guys, whether you're a new viewer, whether you've been with me since the very beginning. I greatly appreciate all of your viewership, and yeah, it's been a wonderful year, and hopefully I'll continue doing this in the years to come. So until then, guys, love yourselves and love each other.